What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Star Trek story. Devlog number 4, Stardate 23763.1. Alright, let's take a look at it. As our Admiral Maldano said it in Devlog number 2, the game is about telling your own Star Trek story, with every word of that sentence being equally meaningful. It needs to be a story, it needs to be a Star Trek story, and it also needs to be your own. I love that. Star Trek, and the particular era we chose to base ourselves in is brimming with rich material. That's my son, by the way. Many stories already told, small and large, that has been studied, memorized, dissected, and analyzed by one of the most intensely passionate audiences in pop culture. And Star Trek now encompasses multiple generations of audiences, over 50 years. So yeah, definitely a lot of generations. We all, the fandom at large, discuss what is canon, where canon contradicts itself, what is not made to the quality of the canon, and similar topics. We've interpreted, rationalized, and theorized how to make it all make sense and be as coherent as a work of so many different authors can be. This sets up a challenge with high expectations on us, and also everyone wants to see that episode they love be somehow represented in our game. Yeah, I could think of a bunch of Deja Q. I would say probably Deja Q is one of my favorite, and so I would love to see Q in the game. The canon gives us a great starting point, the known characters and political stage in their relationships, something that adds meaning to the events that will unfold from the point the player takes charge. And from then on, the story must be told by the players. I love this. This is what really attracted me to Birth of the Federation, the 1999 Star Trek Grand Strategy game. It attracted me because it set the starting points, right? Federation, Romulan, Cardassian, right? And, you built your own Star Trek story. So, like, I played the Federation most of the time, so I expanded and peacefully, right? So there were multiple stories that unfolded. How did I meet the Romulans? Was it a conflict? Did they attack me first? How did I meet the Klingons? Was it peaceful? Did we set up an alliance quickly? What happened? And in each playthrough of Birth of the Federation, it was a different story. And I guess that's when I think back to this game, those most fond memories that I have, is of all these different stories and running into the Borg, and it's just, it made lasting memories. And I love the fact that the developers are like, we're concentrating on this. This Star Trek story is going to be the focus of the game, to make it your own Star Trek story, and it gets me very excited. So I'm very extremely grateful to the developers. The themes. Some stories were referenced explicitly, repeating specific events seen in the shows. Others are more like Easter egg subtle references where people will be trying to remember what episode that was from. But we couldn't just lift episode by episode all the happenings of the quadrants. Also, I'm going to make a video about this. I saw 2 days ago, Rev, who's a YouTube influencer, he posted a zoomed out picture of the galaxy, and I'll post it on the screen here. This zoomed out picture, you can see the Federation, Klingons, Romulans, and Cardassians, right? But you see, like, the top half is missing, right? Like, it seems like it's accessible, but not for right now. And when I saw this, I was like, I have a feeling they're working on future releases, whether it be a DLC or free content, of opening the Delta and Gamma quadrants. So, yeah. I'm very, very... When I saw that map, I was like, I wonder if this is like a sign like, hey, this is half the galaxy. The other half of the galaxy to be TBA, excuse me. So, yeah. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh man, I really hope they do the Gamma and Delta quadrants. During the live stream, Rev was saying it, either as free content or DLC. Honestly, I would pay the price of the game to get both Gamma and Delta, to give whatever budget I can to the developers so they can make more Star Trek content for Infinite. But it would be amazing. I mean, imagine all the different races that we'll see. And then there's a few other things I wanted to talk about, but I'll save that for another video. Alright. We need to tell our own stories while making sure they fit in the universe and feel authentic. To achieve this, it was important to understand what Star Trek is about. You might think that having so many different shows, movies, authors, and fans, this would vary widely, making it hard to pinpoint, even when focusing just on the 1990s shows, but it's not. Star Trek is about exploring all aspects of the human condition, and learning to understand and live with one another no matter how different we are, or if we used to be enemies. It's all about empathy, both when it succeeds and when it fails. Another key aspect of Trek is always looking at how things can improve, even when telling its darkest stories. The world and our lives can be made better through empathy. We can get there, so it's also fundamentally about hope. Wow, that's a great paragraph. That could be in like a philosophy book right there. Wow, that's amazing. So yes, where did I leave off? Right there. Yeah, that's amazing. Those are really I feel like that really, wow. And they're completely right here. Star Trek is about exploring the human condition, and you see that a lot in the Next Generation, especially with Data and Picard kind of being his mentor into understanding humanity. Wow. Your story. There are many ways to tell a story in a strategy game. The most obvious of them are the narrative events, but it goes beyond just the text in a pop-up, because we know who the four powers are. The event may mean something different for each of them, and when you make a choice, if it don't look only at the mechanical words, you are telling a story about who the power you are playing really is. Rev was doing his stream 2 days ago, and there was like a Kittimer event, and he was kind of explaining how, like, when the Klingons meet another power or another race, how they want to kind of present themselves to that race, whether it be more like we're going to be conquerors, we could become close, we could be kind of like I'm trying to remember, but basically like either conquerors, semi-diplomatic, or completely like, hey, mind your own business, kind of like Romulan kind of thing. So it's really interesting how these events pop up in the beginning, and you get to determine how you appear to the rest of the galaxy, and I love that. Birth of the Federation doesn't have this, and I love that you can go down these multiple roads. Like, you could be, we're going to conquer everything. Or the Klingons could be like, yeah, we'll do a little diplomacy, try to make allies. Or we're just going to be kind of completely isolationist. You can go down so many rabbit holes, and I love that. I love that. One interesting thing here, we'll see in a second, actually. All right. The philosophy was extended to all possible interaction between story and player action. When we set out to design the four playable factions, we didn't start by what would be fun, what would be powerful. We started out with who are these people, what do they believe in, and the mechanics and traits follow from there almost naturally. For the mission trees, we ask ourselves, what is the significant history pivotal points, and what happened in between? How can we fill the story gaps with beats fitting who they are and what player actions would tell their stories? It's not enough to have the right text in the mission note. Player must live that story. I love that. I love that. Because obviously, if you're the Federation and you're doing diplomacy, but you're also conquering, it doesn't work. Now, one thing that I wanted to point out here is, if you see right over here, in Power Section 31, one thing that I picked up from the Discord and from Rev's stream was that the Federation can go down a dark path. You can start out good and then go down this darker path with Section 31 and change the way the Federation is looked upon. So that was extremely interesting. Me personally, I'm like Julian and the Chief. I'd go the other way. Try to stay true to the Federation. Additionally, it won't be your story if it can't make a few choices and possibly change the very identity of the character you are playing. Went back to the canon and looked into what possibilities, the alternate paths that were always there in the stories told by the franchise. What if the Federation failed to uphold its values, what we were just talking about? What if the House of Duras took over the Klingon Empire? Wow, okay. That's going to be very interesting. I love that. How would that affect the lore we know of this universe? This is the story This is how the story becomes yours. While some of things are destined to happen, like invasions from the other side of the galaxy. Is he talking about the Borg or the Dominion? Like invasions from the other side of the galaxy. Because you have the Borg invasion, but it's also a Dominion invasion. Interesting. I'm very, very excited to know what this means. The choice about who you are, the actions you take, and what that means within this role will tell more stories than we can write. I hope you tell good ones, and I look forward to you sharing them with the community. Andres Chamara, I hope I said that name right. Technical Director and Honorary Lore Master. I love... Andre, you made an incredible devlog. Possibly one of the best I've read. I'm very, very interested to know what that means. Very interested. And we don't have too long to wait because it's Sunday, October 8th. The game comes out on the 12th. So you can imagine, it's already around the corner. So this is possibly like one of the best devlogs I've ever read. It got Star Trek. And this is how you can also tell that this developer is not only a fan, but just so passionate about Star Trek. Because they nailed it right here. It's about exploring all aspects of the human condition. And, yeah, just nailed it right there. I love this devlog. And that basically this devlog is what Star Trek Infinite and what Birth of the Federation was all about. Thank you, Andres. This is amazing. Wow. And of course, the artwork is always beautiful. Like, you have some unique faces here, Laxwana, Kalar, so some familiar faces. I'm also going to make a couple of videos in the future about people that we'll see in Star Trek, like Gowron and Sloan. So we'll kind of explore that a little later, but huge props to Andres for this devlog. You hit the nail right on the head. One of the best devlogs I've read. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoy this. Catch you next one. See you then.